Okay, it looks like we're going live here on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're a little late today for our session, but everything is working now, including overlays within OBS. And this was something that I wanted to get set up for yesterday, but we use StreamYard, and StreamYard supports green screen, so I was able to use a green screen within a presentation for the first annual Sri Lankan MCT Summit 2021. This was an awesome event. It happened yesterday, very early my time, so I got up early and was preparing for it. And one thing I wanted to do was play around with using not only subtitles, but also reactions to Mark Rusinovich's latest Inside Azure Data Center Architecture video. And one way that I was thinking about doing this was by moving my video around to different areas within the OBS studio. So I could put myself, if I do this correctly here, I need to grab my other pane here. Should be able to put myself up into the corner and then put the video there and then play around with reactions if I were playing the video as Mark presented it. And I know reaction videos are a hot item on the internet right now. So my thought was to use that same type of format here, and instead of just repurposing Mark's demo, do reactions to some of his announcements. And it all worked out. I took stills of the video. We went through probably the first 20 minutes of his announcements, elaborating on some of the concepts that have come from Azure and the physical data centers, as well as a few questions from the audience. We use StreamYard. Today I am using Restream, and I'm going live to a number of platforms similar to what we've done in the past. Today, however, I'm introducing OBS as another piece of what I'm working with from a technology perspective. So this is one of the first broadcasts I am using the OBS software with, and that was a pretty simple download. Pull it over here so you can see what the environment looks like. It allows streaming to those multiple platforms like we talked about. Let's see here. So I've got the different platforms there within OBS. And then I choose my sources within OBS, and I think I can pull these out and just over to the screen here. So the sources that I have right now are my audio input, my headset, my video input and video capture, which is what I'm using the green screen with, so that I appear to be right within my context of my display capture, which is my secondary display. So that was fairly easy to get set up, and I did leverage an internet tutorial to learn how to do that. And then we leveraged PowerPoint's feature for automatic translation, and that looks like this. Up in the slideshow ribbon, over to the right, I have the ability, I'm actually covering it up here, so I'll have to pull it down a little bit. I can use slideshow captions and subtitles. And by turning that on, everybody sees the text of what I'm speaking at the same time. And I can decide to overlay that on my slides at the bottom or the top. I can put it so that it's not interrupting my slides and it's either at the bottom or the top of the screen. but it's doing an active translation into the language that I'm speaking. And right after my session, Heather Severino showed not only this, but live capabilities in PowerPoint for presenting online. And that gives you not only the translation on maybe a mobile device, but it also gives you the capability of that translation being in a language that I'm not speaking. So if I were speaking in English, but my audience speaks another language, it's very easy for them to see that translation real time. And if you think about it from a trainer's perspective, that's one skill that I don't bring. I do not have multiple languages that I am fluent in. I know enough Spanish to be dangerous, but imagine how much more marketable I am now that I can use technologies like this along with translation services if I were to teach in a predominantly country or location that's speaking a different language from English. In the past, I've done this in South Korea. I confirmed at the time with the opportunity that I didn't need to know any Korean, and I knew no Korean going into the training that I had to do. They said, oh, that's fine. We just need somebody that understands the technology. There'll be somebody that can translate from Microsoft there. And so I was flown to South Korea, Seoul, and met with a Microsoft full-time employee that was basically my translator and my guide for my visit in South Korea. And the benefit of that was I had somebody that understood both languages and could do some of the translation. So as far before we had this feature in applications like PowerPoint, PowerPoint would assist where I could still have that translator maybe to help with things that either got incorrectly translated or questions from students. If the microphone doesn't pick them up, I wouldn't be able to hear them and see an automatic translation. But now that there's that software on our phones and it's predominant, it becomes a lot easier to and a lot less scary to consider these types of opportunities in your business and professional life. So this is one thing that I really enjoy working with is the translation and the subtitling within PowerPoint. And we leverage this along with Teams and the other applications that we have talked about in the past. I've also made my mouse much larger than it normally would be and translucent. So the transparency doesn't look like it's coming through on the stream, but I can basically see through my mouse even though the pointer is quite large. And the benefit to that is as I'm moving the pointer around, I can see right through it too if it's covering up text or something else, on my system at least. So today we've gone live with Restream again, just like last week, but we've added another component from a live events perspective, and that's the OBS, Open Broadcaster software, which is a free download, open source, fairly easy to install. And then from within there, it just asked me where I was streaming to. One of the choices was Restream, YouTube, and others. And then I just set up the different sources in Restream, and it comes right into OBS, ready to go and ready to stream to those different platforms. So fairly easy setup there. What we'll be doing for the rest of the week is looking at additional either components or plugins, best practices, suggestions for going live, hosting live events, either as a producer, a presenter, or both. And we're getting ready for the offering of a masterclass, and that would be your opportunity to get behind the scenes with these technologies, producing the videos, presenting within the videos, showcasing that talent. And then that is another thing that you can add to your resume. You could add video resume to your physical traditional resume. I know infographic resumes have been making the rounds on LinkedIn, but one thing that a number of people have called out is video resumes have not become standard or well known. So it's another way to stand out as a candidate. And if you add to that, not only can I produce a video introducing myself, but I also have the capability of doing this for others live. I can bring guests in up to 10 with Restream or StreamYard and host them in panel discussions. Those are skills that you bring besides whatever else you've been doing with your career so far. And it avoids that chicken and the egg issue of, hey, I don't have the experience yet. I'm really looking to get the experience and would like to do both in that first job or early opportunities. I know for me, my formal schooling was in accounting. And I slowly realized that accounting was not for me. My junior year, accounting turned from numbers and math, which is what I assumed it was, to a lot of reading and laws and tax accounting that changes on a regular basis. And that's not where my interest was. I realized at the time that computers, technology, and servers were of interest to me. But back then it was that whole issue of I have interest in this, but how do I get experience with it? And some of my first breaks were opportunities to work within a service desk and just answer questions about computer technology. And then that led to introduction of networking and computers and the ability to learn a little bit behind the scenes of what a network administrator did. That led to becoming a network administrator. And my approach to that wasn't to leave everything behind the scenes. It was more, I'd rather have people understand how they get mapped to a printer so that if they move from one floor to another or one department to another, they could let me know about that as opposed to me having to chase them down or figure out how to automate some of those things for about 100 users at that first job. Once I got some of that experience under my belt, the fact that I never completed college became a non-issue for every job I've applied for except one category, and that's jobs at either community or four-year universities. The benefit now is I bring so much experience to those. I had an offer from a four-year university where they were going to pay for my undergraduate studies and get me that degree that I've been missing. Those are the types of things that you can consider if you want to avoid that chicken and the egg. You know, having the degree with no experience provides you a degree, but doesn't help you from the experience perspective. Having experience without a degree, you've got almost the reverse issue, especially if you're looking at jobs within higher education or where that degree is still a real base requirement for getting the job. As a trainer or a consultant, one benefit I found was people aren't combing through that. They aren't asking for my GPA. They aren't asking for those types of results, but they may be looking at certifications related to what I'm doing. So obtaining certifications that are current in Microsoft Teams or the Microsoft Service Adoption Specialist course that I not only completed but received a certificate in, other Microsoft technologies, and then I'm branching out into third-party technologies really helps me stay marketable. And those are the things that employers or people bring me on for a project as a trainer or a consultant are interested in today. We are going to go live again tomorrow. Hopefully we will return to our normally scheduled 1 p.m. Central Time. Today I was getting some of this software installed and set up this morning. So if we change the time, you'll see us go live at a different time. The benefit to these live streams are you can go back and watch them later. So they're not only live and then they're not available after the live programming time ends. I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday, morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are in the world. My early morning Sunday was the afternoon over in Sri Lanka for a number of my attendees. We had attendees speaking and presenting from around the world. I was on day 2. Day 1 were a number of other speakers that I know, and I wish I was able to make some of their sessions. But it was like a mini reunion through StreamYard yesterday with being on camera with a number of those folks. And it was fun to not only leverage StreamYard with many other participants, but also take a look at what a MCT summit might look like virtually as opposed to in a physical location. Have a great day, everyone. See you tomorrow.